Welcome to a new episode of Brainstorming, your weekly AI podcast that doesn't talk crap. We are crap, but we don't talk crap. Our wives think that at least now. Our wives think we're handsome and nice and the best husbands in the world. I think since Bianca doesn't listen to the podcast, I can say whatever I want.
We hope so.
How are you, my friend Henrique?
Doing great. How are you doing, my friend?
Great,
Yes,
great.
we're not crap. We might have our own LLM model, the crap AI maybe, um, or the anti-crap AI to make us not look crap. But yes, we also don't talk crap about AI. We do like AI. We do think that is a good thing for the world, for businesses, for people, and we want to talk about how people can adapt to AI and have better lives.
It's true. It's true. And talking about adapting, it's funny because we're recording during a week where actually three of the biggest companies, they announced new models. So OpenAI, and again, we're not that keen to giving out the latest news because we know it gets old, but it kind of connects with the idea of adaptability and what we're going to talk about today. So OpenAI, they released their first free open source model. So that's big. So basically, you can have, of course, it definitely isn't as powerful as O3 or like the latest models, but you can have an OpenAI model on your laptop or on your computer or on your server, and you can. The cool thing is that when we talk about having uh, models that are internally stored in your company, even that I don't like the idea that much because you lose the latest advancements, you lose power, you lose some of like reasoning abilities, but you really can focus on data security, data governance. Because it is inside your environment, you can fine tune the model to your liking, and if you have use case scenarios that don't change that much and where data security, data governance is important, this is absolutely amazing news. Claude came out with Opus 4.1, supposedly the best coder in the world. So, of course, it's a little bit more expensive, but Claude has already positioned itself as the best model in coding, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of people in the market. So their newest model supposedly is even better. And Gemini came out with Google came out with a new Gemini model where you can actually create 3D environments, and I think that would be huge for the gaming industry. So, and actually, it's funny because you're probably hearing me say that. It's like, oh, you are embracing the hype. No, actually, it's completely the opposite. It shows that if you don't have a foundation, if you don't have your business strategy well set up, things change all the time, and you won't be able to react and to adapt to all these changes that happen in the market.
Great points, all of them. I hadn't seen the cloud one. I saw OpenAI and the Genie 3 is the Google mod, Google model.
Hmm.
But the one thing that I thought was interesting is, and I had thought about that before, and then with their description of the three, it also shows how all of them are going in different directions. Um, you see Google trying to apparently appeal to gaming or game designers. I don't know who else would directly benefit from 3D worlds at first, like the way it is now. It seems like a gaming or simulation sort of thing. While we see cloud going towards developers, coders, or I guess not coders, probably because they are still, I'd assume, more developed than cloud's model. But to wannabe coders or amateur coders who are developing websites, algorithms, etc., and then OpenAI, I guess, just trying to embrace the world would be my guess.
That is a great point. It feels like a marketing ploy. Plot. It really does. Like trying to be nice.
Yeah. but I don't know. We'll see. Not passing judgment on any of them, and it's good to see I guess the pace of development that we are seeing with AI. We don't know where it's going. Once again, we say that, but whatever it is, it will be promising, and it will be a pretty different world than we have today. Uh, Google also, I thought one interesting thing and kind of gave me pause, at least on the marketing part. Google called its Genie 3 model, the new one, uh, the closest to AGI, artificial general intelligence, which would be human-like intelligence. It would be an AI that, as we've talked in previous episodes to a great extent, it will be what we don't think AI can do, which is to think by itself independently of humans. I don't see how learning to develop 3D worlds means an AI can, be self-sufficient, and not even talking about the power and everything that it needs to run that depends on humans. But I don't see how AI would then create a world that was not asked for by any human. I don't see how that is a step towards an actual intelligence that comes from a machine. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that that's what they're claiming to do. To me, it's, as you said, another marketing plot. It's another way to hype up their new model, which is really cool. It is amazing. I just don't see how it does what they claimed it does.
I agree 100% with your pushback, because actually when you were talking about Genie, the one word that came to my mind was storytelling. And the Google models are actually, in my opinion, again, in my use of all the major models, Gemini and the Google models are really, in my opinion, the best for storytelling. So the claim about AGI, in my opinion, I don't agree with it, but because I think it's so much easier, and I think it's very smart of them. When you create your own 3D world or whatever, when you create your own world, when you're talking about storytelling, you create a structure where it's a lot easier. You're already including the guardrails, so it's a lot easier to put a machine to think. They're just creating a storytelling within closed walls, so it makes it a lot easier than what we really expect from AGI. And when I say expect, is that I'm not sure it will come. It will come in the next years or decades. But when we talk about AGI as a capacity of thinking like with a broad worldview, I don't see that coming. But it's smart of them to create an environment where you can develop controlled worlds, and then inside these worlds, yes, it's a lot easier for the machine to think because it has all the guardrails it needs.
That's very true. And talking about storytelling, that brings up to me in my mind what we want to talk about today, which is how AI can be used to get advantages or to win the sustainability markets. How can you gain an edge, an advantage in ESG? And in the end of the day, ESG is all about storytelling, taking the um, taking the political
Mic drop,
issues
mic drop.
aside. Political issues aside, not getting into any of that, whether that's you know, but the buzzword ESG, the fact that companies claim to be environmentally friendly, sustainable, um, good governance, etc. Anything ESG, in the end of the day, is done for storytelling. It's done so that they can market themselves better for the public. And even if they have a good purpose behind that, if they're driven to adapt new ESG frameworks, or to improve in some metrics, in the end of the day, they're doing that because that will get them an advantage in another area, whether it's pitching to investment funds who have how to call it, like the green investment funds, um, or it's to pitch to new customers, potential customers that care about that. It could be a multiple reasons, but ESG, in the end of the day, from a company mindset, is about storytelling.
I couldn't agree more, and I think we have to get a little bit political here. I think the push from the right in the last 2 years, it was important. It was important in a way to try to make ESG less about marketing, more about results. And before we started recording, I was just pulling some numbers here, and because I'm getting old, I'm kind of blind here, but sustainable funds saw a record 8.6 billion net outflow in Q1 of 2025. So you can see a lot of people were pulling money out of sustainability funds. You can see another expression that I loved here: green hushing is replacing greenwashing. So a lot of companies are really trying to connect sustainability with their numbers because their investors are making them do it, because people are just not buying anymore just the beauty of the idea of ESG. But as we talked about 2 episodes ago, when we talked about governance, there is a difference between the European market and the US market. And the European market in 2025, companies now have to start filing under what they're calling the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive and the new European Sustainability Reporting Standards. So the companies that fall under what they call Scope 3 style data, they cannot really ignore ESG anymore. But as you said, it has to be storytelling with a substance. The numbers have to be there because regulatory standards are making companies do that. So I think it's a positive change. I really do. I'm all for the environment. Actually, one thing that I never understood in this polarization of the world is how caring for the environment future, and I will put it into how I like to look at the world as a long-term investment. How did it become something political? Like it doesn't make sense to me that one side thinks, oh, it's all about paper straws, and the other side thinks, oh no, it's all about they want to cut all the trees in the world. No, like, come on, guys, this is something that really matters. Probably we will not see it, but our kids will see it, the effects of this. So ESG should be something important as it is becoming now. I think we went to the phase, and I like to make the analogy. For me, it's just like AI. AI, the first couple of years were just hype. We're just hype, and now companies are really starting to look, hey, we have to get money out of this investment. We have to get results out of this investment. And I think ESG is seeing the same switch.
I totally agree. Yeah, and I think part of the problem is the hype that comes from a buzzword. It was CSR, then it became ESG, which are related, and now it's AI, which is nothing directly related to ESG, but it's the new buzzword, the new trendy thing that is, it sells. And yes, I understand, or maybe I don't understand necessarily, but I get it why people take political sides on human aspects of life. Whether a government should be bigger or smaller, have more or less intervention, public healthcare versus not, public education versus not. You could pick a side, but you understand why you're debating what is better for people and for the country if you do X versus Y. Now, why does Earth care? What we think we should do, Earth is not taking sides, it's just going. The environment is there, and it doesn't matter who you voted, the environment's not going to change or not going to slow down or whatever because of that. So yes, I totally agree. I don't understand how making sure we can live in a healthy environment, literally, as in the planet, became a political debate. But I agree that past the hype, past the initial buzz, it is better that you can try to parse out the media, the hype, and focus on the actual results. Europe has a lot more regulations, but 90, I think it's 99% now of the S&P 500 companies. So the 500 biggest companies in the US are reporting their sustainability metrics. They report sustainability. They have sustainability reports every year. Now, whether that is more meat than just fluffy numbers, whether there's actual substance to it is another point. We'd have to go one by one and try to analyze it. A lot of it is definitely done just to appease investors, appease regulators. Um, One of the problems, if we could get into that, is I think the number of different ESG frameworks that exist in the world. We have probably the most famous one would be the UN Sustainable Development Goals framework, but that is a little too general. It doesn't delve into specifics of how you get there or what you need to do for each of those, so companies can cherry pick which of their UN goals of the, I think, 17 total, and you can choose which ones you want to choose to follow, to adhere to, and then you have plenty of others. And it's in Portuguese would say it's a letter soup, or an acronym soup. You have the CDSB framework, the SASB standards, SASB. We have the ISSB. We have the integrated reporting, IR. We have climate disclosure. We have GRI, CDP, SBTI. You can keep throwing out letters like until tomorrow, and you're not going to run out of different frameworks done for sustainability metrics. And that means no one knows what should be done, no one knows what should be followed. And I think that is part of how AI could help streamline that, whether it's from the regulator side into unifying it, or from the company side on what is exactly that you should do. How do you compare perhaps to your industry, to your markets? So you're doing what matters for you, for your investors, for your shareholders, for other stakeholders, and not just cherry picking UN goals and other ESG standards to say that you're doing it. And it's possible that no one cares because it's not relevant.
That is a great point. And you use the word metrics, I think, 2 or 3 times. And I think that that's the key, because when we talk about metrics, we talk about data. What's better to handle data than what? Our big, good friend, AI. So I've had my share of, I've read a lot of sustainability reports in my life, because and I don't think I ever told you this. It was a big part of my translation business, because it was something that a lot of international companies had to do in multiple languages. So it's
I didn't
something
know
that
that, but it makes sense. I can see that.
it's something that's been a part of my life for a long time. And when we talk about how, and like, how AI can generate results and really help ESG and help companies implement ESG, it's really like, when you look at a sustainability report, basically there's a lot of fluff in there, of course, but there's a lot of data in there. There are a lot of metrics, whether we're talking about carbon emissions, whether we're talking about labor incidents, whether we're talking, like, there's a lot of stuff that gets involved in that. And it takes a long time to put that information together. So like, if I'm going to be as simplistic as possible, just for a company to be able to save probably 30 or 40% of time to put together the sustainability report, AI, and that's just a simple, straight use of AI, but it really will help. If you have a sustainability area, most of the companies that I had at customers, they did, you're just putting more time in their hands to do something useful, that is not just generating numbers and generating text. So it sounds simple, but it is a great use case of AI for ESG. Just like get probably reduced in 30 or 40% of the time that the companies, and that is a year job. Like they get involved in that all year. So just having AI help them during that process is something really cool and something that will really bring results. So simple AI data, it always is a good match.
Yeah, exactly. And in this case, I guess in many cases, but in this one specifically, you can use AI to help you from beginning to end, from gathering data, analyzing it, writing the report, structuring it, how to communicate it to the public, how to communicate it to your investors. You can use AI to benchmark other companies, use their sustainability reports to check how you compare to your competitors or to companies in your geographic location, depending on whatever your objective is. You can use AI to try to kind of do a market intelligence or to analyze the market in general. Maybe you're not benchmarking against your competitors specifically, you just want to see how the overall market is doing. You can use AI to try to anticipate trends, to catch initial trends towards, say, more efficient logistics, or reducing carbon emissions is something that everyone's looking at now. But say you're starting a new, I don't know, I'm not gonna come up with something smart now, but maybe a new way to benchmark carbon reduction or new goals they're coming
Dude,
for that.
we can actually something that really sounds like a possibility for me, because we talk a lot about AI for handling DNA and trying to improve DNA data. How about creating new materials that are more sustainable? It makes a crap load
Exactly.
of sense. It makes a crap load of sense.
Yeah, yeah, great idea. You could try to use it for waste reduction, how to have a more efficient process, and it could be through new materials. It could be through just reworking what you've been doing for decades. If you're like a manufacturing industry, a heavy industry, and you just try to reduce carbon emissions by reducing waste, or just maybe not carbon emission, but any other sort of emissions. It could be more energy efficient. It could reduce your costs. That also reduce energy consumption. Anyway, you can come up with so many different uses of AI that are ESG related, and not necessarily where we start at the ESG reports, but at the actual environmental or sustainability metrics. And then you can use it in any way you want to show to your customers, again, your investors, your employees, your prospective employees, how much you do, how innovative you are, how in tune with the environment you are. Another thing that kind of related to that, sort of, but not super, is how much prospective employees care about those things. And it's not that current employees don't care, but they're most likely not going to quit your company because you're not being environmentally friendly or not being attuned to it. They might be less incentivized to work harder. They might be less productive. They might have lower job satisfaction, but they might not quit. However, if your prospective employees can see how much you do, you attract more talent this way. So I guess it's not about talent retention, it's about talent attraction.
Especially if you follow the current trend that is actually using ESG for results, because we're going to say it every episode, the world is freaking divided. And if you try to use ESG only as a marketing plot, only as something that, oh, we are a green loving company, you are not going to attract talent from one side of the aisle. You're not, because
Yep.
those people don't want to work for that. But if you can create the story, and the story shown by the numbers, by the data, that you have ESG, and ESG actually generates results, financial and sustainable, like whatever environmental results, then you can really have a huge pool of talent to attract, because you're attracting people from both aisles, right? There's no
Yeah.
third party anymore. So basically, you're attracting. Probably you have like 2% who are like us, who actually try to look at both sides and try to get the best of each side. But most of it, basically, you will get talent from both aisles. So that is important. But
Exactly.
what
If you can double your talent pool, it's gold.
exactly? So
And one thing that I guess people don't talk about enough is that nowadays, as you said, when you talk about ESG in the sense of actual results, being let's say ESG positive, quote air quotes again here for the ones who are not seeing, right? But being someone who has great ESG metrics, let's say, necessarily means a technologically advanced company, a company that is in the forefront of technology, because to get more efficient, to get better environmental ratings, to actually reduce your carbon emissions, you need good technology. You need to be very advanced. You cannot do it with old processes. And by having new modern processes, that means you're in general a technologically advanced company, which means you're in the competitive edge of your market, your industry. So things go hand in hand. You're now going to reduce carbon emissions and being an old, outdated company. And I don't think anyone, left, right, north, south, northeast, southwest, I don't think anyone wants to work for old, outdated companies. So I don't know. I just find it interesting that people do not associate technology, R&D, actual, let's say, innovative processes, innovation with ESG, because they do go hand in hand. You need one for the other.
perfect, perfect. And let me get two words that you said. You use innovation and you use energy. And I think that we have to talk about the big elephant in the room, that is, and when I go to conferences or networking events with tech people, they always bring up the whole idea of energy consumption in model, like the model processing costs and how much energy it consumes. And honestly, I think it's a great connection with ESG, because if you have the right processes and if you use AI correctly, the processing costs will pay for themselves. It's as simple as that. So yes, you're using a lot of energy to process data, and we have all those numbers that, oh, if you generate a video on Gemini or OpenAI, it costs I don't know how many trees, or you consume energy of a small city in Italy. But if you can find ways to use AI to reduce inventory cost of inventory management, reduce to optimize your supply chain, to create new materials, to have predictive maintenance that will your machines will not be stopped, your production will be more effective, more efficient. I honestly believe, and I could be wrong, but first of all, I think AI companies will find ways to consume less energy. I just think it's the way technology has worked through history. So I think that will be one factor. But another factor is you can compensate that and overcome that, and actually have pull the results to the other side in a way that the processing costs and the energy consumption, it becomes just one variable in a positive ROI that you will bring to your company when you look with AI in ESG, this intersection of these two worlds.
That's that's brilliant. I agree. And one thing that I wanted to add, and we talk about, I mean, we've been talking about how you can connect that, but you see, if you go online now and you just look at ESG, AI ESG, I don't know, models or something like that, just a quick Google, you can see that companies are doing it already. And you see, for instance, Salesforce incorporating that to their CRM models. Salesforce is present in, I can't tell you how many companies, but it is the CRM platform for, I want to say, the main CRM platform in the world. So for most of them, we see KPMG creating a corporate service for AI implementation into ESG frameworks, or to scale ESG frameworks. So that's all to say, what we're talking about now is not something that is just in kind of small group conversations, maybe conferences. They're like trying to create a trend or a market for something. It's not that it's just small circles in conferences or in I don't know, in a podcast with two random dudes. It's what I mean to say is, their conference, they're trying to develop new things in their conference. They're talking about actual trends. That is an actual trend that is going on already in the world. We're not creating it. We're not talking from our heads. We're not coming up with those examples. That is happening already. But it's still early enough that once you decide to adopt it, you jump to the forefront of that trend. You'll be an early adopter, and early adopters have an advantage when they do it right.
And you just saw, if you're watching the video, just saw a piece of Zills now coming up here. That's why I'm so far from the camera. But and I love your point, because actually it gives you time to learn. And that's my whole point. Like the thing with ESG, and yes, at the beginning everybody was using it for marketing, but the companies who took it seriously, they took time to learn how to implement and generate results with it. I really think the analogy applies for AI. And I just see it as like this perfect connection between these two worlds. And you see a lot of people who love and hate AI. You saw a lot of people who loved and hated ESG. Like you're seeing all these similarities between these two worlds. But the one thing you cannot do is be afraid of entering this world, and actually both worlds, especially if you're a bigger, medium-sized to large company. Like you have to think about ESG. And I think that's the change with AI, because it impacts companies of all sizes. Like even if you're a solopreneur, if you work at a 5-10 people company, or if you work at a 2,500 10,000 people company, AI will impact. And even that, as we've been saying, we both believe, and that's why we hit it every week, that you need to create and discuss the foundations to be able to handle all the turbulence, that all the changes that have been happening the past 12 to 18 months, and will continue to happen the next 24 to 36 months. But you cannot just say, hey, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to learn it, because learning is the key word here. And you need that time when everybody is going through the same challenges, because that's the key. Like all the surveys and all the studies and all the McKinsey and Gartner and whatever organization you want to use, the 70% fail rate, the 80% fail rate, everybody is having the same challenges. But let's learn together. Let's use this time to actually understand what the leveling needs to be, what we need to structure in our company, what should our strategy be, and then we can start implementing actually AI for results. So I see a lot of similarities with ESG and that.
Yeah, that is very true. And we cannot, humans are very adaptable. We cannot underestimate adaptability in general. So it'll be trial and error until we get it right. And the sooner we get it right with AI, or I guess the small wins, we're not going to see a sudden change of, well, we're right now all scattered trying to find out how we can use AI for to improve our lives. We're not going to see a sudden light switch turned on, and then we all optimizing our time using AI, but the sooner you start trying, the sooner you can get small wins that will, in the end of the day, get you ahead of your competitors, will get you closer to ESG goals. And even if you don't have ESG goals, honestly, I doubt that your company doesn't want to be more energy efficient, reduce costs, reduce operational like waste, reduce I don't know, improve day-to-day work by streamlining a process, increase sales because you cater to more customers. Whatever it is, it could be connected to AI. It will be eventually, even without displacing any jobs. We talked about that before. Um, and most of it has an ESG flavor to it. The actual ESG, not the fluffy ESG.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And we have a really cool academic paper connected to this subject. But before we go there, just reminding everyone, do not forget, pause the video. Actually, let me talk first. Let me talk first. Don't pause it yet. But don't forget about our free AI blueprint. So all you need to do is answer. It's actually a thorough assessment. It's not a quick assessment. It's a thorough assessment. It's around 80 questions, but it allows us to have a complete picture of how your company is embracing AI or how your company wants to embrace AI. And that way we're able to give you a free blueprint to help you in this start, like your first steps in this world with AI, or even if you have been working with AI and are kind of lost, it will allow us to help you adjust the route, like adjust your journey and start to get results with AI. So the link for the assessment is in the episode description. So now you can pause the video. We'll be waiting here when you come back. You're back. Cool. So do not forget that every week we have new companies trying it, and all we want to do is to build this large community. We want to build this large database for Henrique's study, and to be able to understand behaviors, understand commitments that companies are making, understand mistakes that companies are making, so we can help everyone with 100% data security. Your data is yours, but we're using the whole structure of data to be able to create to improve our methodology to be able to help companies have better success
Exactly.
with AI.
And as a counterpoint, you will get our overall results back. Again, individual data will be secure, anonymized. No one's gonna know, but you'll be able to find out what is the overall market doing. And that's our goal, as we talked about for this episode from beginning to end, how AI can help you benchmark, do a market intelligence. You can understand how your company compares to the overall pool of companies who are adopting AI, how your metrics are changing, how your perhaps ESG ratings are changing, whichever your goal is. We can help you get there and give you back the results so you can see what that impact was.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And our academic paper is fully connected to our topic today. And the name of it is The Generative Energy Arena, Incorporating Energy Awareness in Large Language Model Human Evaluations. To give like a quick summary of the paper, basically it's from the Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, and ETSI de Telecomunicación. My Spanish is not that great, but we'll get there. I'm trying my Duolingo classes every day, and Duo keeps pissing me off every day around 6 p.m. Like, why haven't you done your classes yet? But I love Duolingo. Not crapping on Duolingo. I love Duolingo. But basically, the paper tries to address a critical gap when we talk about AI evaluation. So while businesses are increasingly focused on AI performance and ROI, they are largely ignoring the energy consumption implications of their AI choices. To put that into plain words, basically, companies when they create their AI solutions, when they start their AI projects, they don't look at energy consumption, and that's what this paper is trying to do, trying to create a tool. Let's call it a tool to be able to help companies measure energy consumption in the decision-making process of which model they're going to choose. So I thought it was really interesting because it's really practical. It's a simple idea with practical results. It's not that easy to implement, but it really it impacts the technological side of which model you're going to use, but actually it also it works a lot with human behavior. So for humans to see, hey, I'm going to try a model that has less energy consumption. Let's see the results. Try to do that comparison. So that was pretty cool of this study. What did you think, Professor? What are your main opinions about this paper?
No, I thought it was really interesting. And I started reading, and I wasn't sure where it was going, but it was, as I said, it's very simple and straight to the point, and it makes a lot of sense. We tend to look for the highest quality, whatever it is, if we're not given other information. We're not going to think about the rest of the information unless you're given, which makes sense. The users probably didn't think, well, the more complex model obviously will consume more energy, so I won't choose that. No, you just think it's better, let's do it. And a lot of us, I think, still don't think about AI models as a source of energy consumption, and they are very, very energy costly still. So it's not because you're using AI to improve your environmental metrics that you're actually reducing your energy consumption.
It's a
Which,
paradox.
it is a paradox, right? So it's a good parallel for companies as well, that when you're looking at AI models, you do need to look at how much energy they consume. And as you said, when users was informed about the energy consumption of each model, they then 46% of them switched their choice to the most energy efficient. And you think maybe I don't need that much quality or that much complexity. The simple model does its job and is sufficient, is enough for me to do whatever I want. So I liked it because it looks at the environment, it looks at AI, and it looks at, as you said, human behavior and how we are triggered um, by certain things. The one question I had, and I wish they had done that, was have a control sample, maybe not control sample, but another subset of users who were from the get-go given the energy consumption of each. They'd be given a list of a few different items, including energy consumption, and then would have to choose the model. Because if you were informed of the energy consumption later and asked if you'd change or not, you were sort of being primed to change your choice. It's like, this is how much they consume. Are you sure you want the complex, more energy, like heavy model? Are you sure you don't want to change? And it's very possible that most would still pick the one that consumes less energy. But I wish there was this other sort of subset of users who had that option from the beginning, and you could even see how much that affects it, how much knowing it from scratch versus finding out afterwards affects their choice.
And it's funny, and yes, Phil's just taking a shower here
Yeah.
with a cover up. It's human nature because, and I've been seeing it in some tests we're doing internally. Why we're doing a lot of testing, and I promise there is an association with our topic. We're doing a lot of testing and coding with different tools. So trying to develop software using different AI tools, and we're trying all these different suppliers and all these different IDEs and all these different models. And the one thing we've been learning so far is that our first reaction is let's use the best model. Let's use and let me tell you, 80% of the time you don't need the best model. You don't need the most powerful model. And I'm talking about software development. When we're talking about 50-60% of the use cases that most companies will use AI, they definitely they don't need the best model. Smaller models, more energy, that don't consume that much energy, they will definitely take care of the task. But people just have that thing, oh no, I'm going to use the best because I don't know how it works, so the best is probably what I need. So there is a human nature side of it that we have to get people used to. And of course, when we talk about large language models, we talk about cost of tokens, and a lot of people just look at that. But if you put this other variable, energy consumption, and say, hey, there is like a 50% difference, 60% difference between both models, and you will get 99% of the results, why not? A human would make mistakes the same way that this 1%, this 1% difference. So I think it is a great way of overcoming some of these initial reactions that we have, that I always want to use the best model. Again, in of everything I've seen the past months, 70% of the situations you do not need the best model.
Exactly. Efficiency is not equal to highest quality. Having the most
Perfect.
efficient model, the best model for your company, doesn't mean having the best model overall. Um, and I think companies and people in general, we still don't associate AI with a lot of other things in our lives where we don't choose the best of all time, either because it's too expensive or because it's just way more than we need. It's just not necessary. It's redundant, right? So you're not buying the most expensive bed to sleep on that has 5 million Egyptian fibers in your mattress, and it will make you feel like you're floating because A, it's way too expensive. B, you don't need that. You just want a comfortable bed. Um, and we can look at technology and all the different technologies that we have every day, and you don't buy the best one because you often don't need it, right? Your I guess the best similarity for me, when I think of companies overspending on AI to have everything they can, is like those like kitchen appliances stuff that are sold on TV, old TV ads, or online, even whatever, that they do a lot of things, and you're like, why do I need this? I give this example in class actually. It's a centrifugal juicer machine that'll you put the fruits in there and it will slice it, blend it, do everything. It has, I think, like 2 liter, 128-ounce capacity. So it's beautiful for making juices, except that it costs $500. Would you ever spend $500 to make juice? Are you sure either a cheap juicer or your own hands and a knife are not better than spending $500 on a XL Pro centrifugal juicer machine with brushed stainless steel? Anyway,
yeah, that's a
with pulp control, whatever pulp control means.
it probably takes an hour to clean it later.
Probably.
And when you were talking, I'm just laughing with myself, and I would not say that much because I don't want to get beat up at home. But I think about design furniture. Sometimes it's just ridiculous. Like, oh yeah, it looks beautiful, but I cannot sleep on it if I have insomnia during the night because it's all curvy and all that crap. So but I'll keep it that way. I will not say that more about that. But yeah, that's the whole point. It's like human nature is to try, especially when with the unknown, and that's the key. Human nature, our first reaction to the unknown is that if we have the possibility of choosing, we'll always choose like the most powerful option, and sometimes it's just not the more effective one. It's not the more efficient one. So I think this paper really embraces that idea that just giving information and giving a choice, people will start seeing more results on the use of AI, and will be more sustainable for the environment. So even that I said at the beginning, the middle of the episode, that I believe the technology companies will find ways to consume less energy. It also is our responsibility to be able to adapt our needs to consumption, like we do in everything else of life. Like if we do that with money, we have to do that with energy too.
Definitely, definitely. And I think it'll be more and more common to either ask for or be automatically informed of the energy consumption of AI models. It's not something that people are paying attention to yet, but I think as we talk more and more about it, that will be more prevalent as we progress in this long and unknown path of AI development and AI adoption.
You are the closer today. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job.
You're too generous. You're too nice.
12 pitches, 3 balls, 9 strikes, 1 fly out, 2 strikeouts. Good job.
Appreciate it. I'll take it any day. I'll take it any day.
Great job, my friend. Great conversation. I think we've been talking a lot about these points like governance, like today about ESG, and because they're all related to strategy, they're all related to regulatory frameworks and risk management, and companies need to pay attention to that. So we'll keep talking about subjects related to that, because you have sources to find the technical discussions. We're going to give you the business discussions. So don't forget about the free AI blueprint. And next week we'll be back with another academic paper, shorter edition, 20 minutes, because Henrique is close to his wedding party, so we need to keep it short, so he has time to go to the gym and be stronger and be to fit the suit that was made for Mr. Olympia.
I'm trying.
Take care, my friend. So great to see you again.
You.
I'll see you
Same
next
to
week.
you. Great seeing you, my friend.